declassified files, congressional hearings, forced admissions under oath. We are counting down 10 conspiracy theories that were ridiculed and denied until the evidence proved them true, from covert surveillance programs and fabricated military incidents to government experiments on unwitting citizens. Each entry climbs deeper into documented deception. Some of these cases took decades to surface, starting at number 10, with something the government spent years pretending it never studied. In the 10th place, government UFO investigations moved from whispered rumor to undeniable fact. For years, officials insisted there was nothing to see, no secret files, no unexplained encounters. Yet Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's official study, quietly logged 12,600 sightings between 1952 and 1969. When the program closed, 701 cases remained unexplained, their details sealed away. Decades later, the silence broke. In 2020, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released the first unclassified report on unidentified aerial phenomena, admitting that dozens of recent military encounters defied explanation. Congressional hearings in 2023 forced top defense officials to acknowledge they were still collecting and analyzing evidence. What began as fringe speculation ended with formal government admissions. For over half a century, authorities studied and sometimes concealed encounters they could not explain. Number 9. The Gulf of Tonkin controversy reveals how a single misreported event can spiral into war. In August 1964, the Johnson administration declared that North Vietnamese torpedo boats attacked U.S. destroyers on 2 separate nights, triggering swift congressional approval for military escalation in Vietnam. But decades later, declassified Navy logs and NSA intercepts from the 1990s told a different story. The supposed second attack on August 4th never happened. Radar blips and nervous radio chatter were mistaken for enemy boats. A 1995 Pentagon review admitted the evidence was ambiguous, yet it was presented as fact. The result, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, and more than 58,000 American deaths, all built on a foundation of error and manipulation. 8th place, COINTELPRO pulled back the curtain on how far a government agency would go to silence its own citizens. Launched by the FBI in 1956, this covert program targeted civil rights leaders, anti-war groups, and black activists with a web of infiltration, surveillance, and psychological warfare. The public only learned the truth after a 1971 break-in at the FBI's Media, Pennsylvania office, when activists stole over 1,000 secret files and mailed them to newspapers. Inside, they found evidence of forged letters, mail fraud, and directives to spread rumors and disrupt marriages. The Church Committee hearings later revealed that the FBI's own memos authorized these tactics, aiming to sow distrust and fracture movements from within. COINTELPRO's exposure forced a national reckoning with the abuse of law enforcement power, proof that the line between protection and persecution can be crossed in the shadows. Number 7. The digital age brought surveillance out of the shadows and into every corner of daily life. After 9/11, rumors spread of a vast government net capturing global internet traffic, but the scale sounded impossible until 2013. Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, released a cache of classified slides. The documents revealed PRISM, a program granting the NSA direct access to servers at tech giants like Google and Microsoft, and X-Keyscore, a tool capable of searching vast streams of internet data in real time. Senate hearings in 2014 confirmed the program's existence, matching the leaked technical diagrams. Snowden's disclosures ignited a global debate over privacy, law, and national security. In response, Congress passed the USA Freedom Act in 2015, placing new limits on bulk data collection. What once seemed like science fiction, total digital surveillance, became an undeniable fact, reshaping the boundaries of privacy in the modern era. Number 6. The tobacco industry's secret war on the truth stands as a case of corporate deception with a staggering human cost. For decades, executives assured the public that smoking was not addictive and dismissed links to cancer as unproven. Yet, hidden inside company archives, memos from the 1950s reveal a different story. Internal scientists warned of nicotine's grip and the deadly risks of tobacco smoke. These warnings never reached the public. In 1994, the Master Settlement Agreement forced the release of 4,500 pages of confidential documents. The files exposed a coordinated campaign to bury research, cast doubt on health studies, and market cigarettes to new generations. That same year, the CDC estimated 480,000 Americans died from tobacco-related disease. The eventual $206 billion settlement was historic, but no amount could reverse the consequences of profit-driven silence. This was not a government plot, but a private sector conspiracy that cost hundreds of thousands of lives. In the fifth place, the Cold War's shadow extended deep into the wires and airwaves of American life. Project Shamrock, launched in 1945, quietly funneled every international telegram passing through Western Union, RCA, and ITT directly to the NESA. 10 million messages a year, all copied without warrant or oversight. By the 1960s, Project Minaret expanded the reach, capturing the domestic calls and telegrams of those placed on secret government watch lists, senators, journalists, civil rights leaders, and ordinary citizens. Senate testimony in 1975 revealed that nearly 3% of all domestic calls were swept up with no judicial review. The church committee's exhibits laid bare the technical manuals and classification guides, exposing a surveillance machine that operated in total secrecy for decades. The outrage forced a reckoning. Congress passed the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act in 1978, establishing new legal boundaries. Long before the digital age, the blueprint for mass data capture was already in place, quietly eroding the promise of privacy. Number 4. The Tuskegee syphilis study stands as one of the most devastating breaches of medical ethics in American history. Beginning in 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service recruited 399 black men in Alabama under the guise of free health care, but withheld treatment for syphilis even after penicillin became the standard cure in the late 1940s. For 40 years, these men were denied information and medication, while doctors observed the disease's progression in secret. In 1972, epidemiologist Peter Buxton leaked internal memos and a CDC report confirming the deception. The Associated Press broke the story, sparking national outrage and congressional hearings. By then, over 200 men had died from untreated syphilis or its complications. The resulting class action settlement paid $10 million to survivors and families. The Belmont Report, drafted in the aftermath, set new ethical standards for human research, but the trauma and mistrust linger to this day. Coming to the top 3 Operation Northwood stands as a chilling example of how far military planners were willing to go in pursuit of geopolitical goals. In March 1962, the Joint Chiefs of Staff drafted a classified memorandum proposing a series of false flag attacks on American targets to manufacture a pretext for invading Cuba. The plan's scenarios read like a catalog of deception: a staged hijacking of a civilian airliner, the sinking of a boat filled with Cuban refugees, bombings in Miami, and even simulated shootings of American soldiers at a Florida base. Each incident was designed to be blamed on Castro's regime, rallying public support for war. The memo, signed unanimously by the Joint Chiefs, included marginal notes from generals weighing the acceptability and risks of civilian casualties. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara rejected the plan, and President Kennedy issued a direct veto, warning that such actions would cross a moral line. The documents, released decades later through the National Archives and FOIA requests, offer a rare look into the machinery of strategic deception, proof that even the highest levels of command contemplated sacrificing truth and potentially lives for political ends. Number 2. Watergate shattered the illusion that the highest office in the United States was immune to conspiracy. In June 1972, a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters was dismissed by the White House as a minor incident. But behind the scenes, a tangled web of hush money, secret meetings, and obstructed investigations was already in motion. The turning point came with the release of the infamous smoking gun tape, a recording from June 23, 1972, in which President Nixon and his chief of staff plotted to halt the FBI's inquiry. On that tape, Nixon is heard agreeing to use the CIA to block the investigation, a move that would later become central to the charge of obstruction of justice. The Supreme Court's unanimous ruling in United States v. Nixon forced the White House to hand over the tapes, stripping away the last layer of denial. As the evidence mounted, 69 people faced indictment, and on August 9, 1974, Nixon became the first U.S. president to resign. The Watergate scandal stands as a stark reminder of how documentary proof, audio, transcripts, sworn testimony can unravel even the most powerful cover-up, forever altering the public's trust in government. And finally, in first place, MK Ultra stands as the most harrowing case of government secrecy crossing into outright violation of human rights. For decades, whispers circulated about CIA mind control experiments, stories of LSD, hypnosis, and psychological manipulation. Official denials painted these rumors as the stuff of pulp fiction. Yet in 1975, the so-called Family Jewels report cracked the truth wide open. Senate hearings pulled back the curtain on a program authorized by a secret directive dated June 15, 1953. Under the leadership of Sidney Gottlieb, the CIA orchestrated at least 149 sub-projects spanning 80 universities, hospitals, and prisons, often without the knowledge or consent of the subjects. The methods range from dosing unwitting civilians with LSD to sensory deprivation and forced drug withdrawal. One case, the death of Army scientist Frank Olson, became a grim symbol of the program's lethal reach. Olson fell to his death from a New York hotel window after being secretly drugged by his colleagues. His family's decades-long quest for answers ended with a formal apology from President Ford and a $750,000 settlement but no real accountability. In 1973, as scandal loomed, the CIA destroyed most MKUltra files, leaving only fragments for investigators. Still, Senate testimony and surviving documents confirm that at least 2 deaths resulted directly from the experiments, and countless others suffered lasting psychological harm. The Church Committee's final report condemned the program as a flagrant breach of the Nuremberg Code, a textbook example of Cold War piranha overriding basic human decency. MKUltra's exposure forced new laws on informed consent and forever changed how the public views the shadowy edges of intelligence work. Across all 10 cases, one pattern is undeniable. Institutions sworn to protect us are capable of secrecy beyond imagination. Each revelation shows truth can hide in plain sight for decades. The real lesson: never assume the impossible, because the facts we dismiss today may haunt us tomorrow.